very quickly going to be introduced to Leon. And we take over the character as Leon. So obviously this is actually set in the future, even like for us, because we're in 2026. This was set 2 years in our future, right? And there was a big emphasis put on this, and I know you, Danny, didn't really like the idea of a 51-year-old man doing all the stuff he was doing in RE4 Remake. You thought, he'd be a bit past it and stuff like that. But yeah, what did we think of Leon in this game as a whole?
Oh, what's not to say about him? Like, that's the real question. He obviously from the trailer, obviously you only see it for a split second, but you see the mark on his neck.
Yes.
So you're like, that's why he's doing it. It's because he's trying to find answers for that. And there's a certain attitude in this game that he has that is a lot more, I want to say a lot more serious, like during the cutscene than that, except for a couple of moments, he's quite serious. Than he's normally he's like quite jokey and quite, he's like the Spider-Man of the RE universe, I'd like to say, because he likes to piss his villains off before he defeats them.
Yeah.
So there wasn't, like, there is when you're playing as him going around, but like most cutscenes, he's quite serious, except for the one with Victor Gideon where he goes, I have one question though. And he goes, when's the last time you brushed your teeth? that I thought was such, like, that's only Leon could get away with that. But otherwise he'd only say things like after killing certain zombies, or again with Gideon, he'd be like, should have worn a helmet. Like that, it's those kind of comments that make Leon, but he didn't do that as much because of how serious his situation was. It was because it's obviously, he's trying to find a cure for what's going on with him.
Yeah,
gameplay wise,
he definitely did come across like that. I will say, like, he's getting old and he can't be arsed sort of thing, but it's his determination that's keeping him going. Yeah. That's how I felt with him.
So gameplay wise, this is the best Resident Evil gameplay that I feel like we've had, of like the action and the involvement. Like it brings you in, like it draws you to what's going on, and I love it. Like there's gore, there's badass moments, there's just he feels like he doesn't feel clanky or horrible, and he is just a badass. He really, really is. I feel like they did a really good work with his voice actor. I think Nick did a really, really good job again. I feel like the gameplay is just so exhilarating. I've already played it twice, and I will play it again. But there will be a certain bit in a minute where there'll be a clip inserted where there's a reason why I won't play Leon in first person, because of that said bit. Because no way. But he is the best gameplay in my opinion we've had of RE9.
What about you, Danny? What do you think of that?
So it wasn't a case of like he's 51 and he shouldn't be doing backflips because he might pull out a hip. It was the case of just seeing him grow and become the man that he is, and the determination to basically do what he thought was right, like atone for what he felt he did wrong in RE2.
Right. Okay.
Like he was determined to make things right in the world. Yeah.
I think it is important as well to talk about the epilogues at the end of Resident Evil 3, where we learned that, because there is obviously the very popular fan idea that Leon and Claire should have got together, but no, they're not compatible at all. Claire literally just left Sherry with Leon to go look for Chris at the end of Resident Evil 3, and you've got like Leon was forced to work with the government in order to protect Sherry. In that respect, so Leon's been kind of forced into this line of work, which is the line of work we see him in RE4, and of course it's he's in RE6, which is his last title before RE9. He's still doing the same sort of work. what I will say as well with the point that you made about his attitude, in RE6 and from RE4 original, I'm going to say with original, because it was sort of a victim of its time, that game. In RE6, Leon was definitely like a lot more like succumbed to seriousness, 100%. And I would actually more go on a limb out and say that that not just because they can sort of thing, but I do think that the RE4 remake will probably be obviously the canon one, because he does have obviously a more serious attitude, I felt, in RE4 remake, in that respect. But of course he was 27 in RE4. The reason that I wanted to sort of pick on his age a little bit was because I actually do have a bit of a difference in opinion in terms of the gameplay, but because I have two opinions on it. I think that the action side of it, as a player, I think it sucked a little bit. And I think the reason it sucked
from Ben
is because they were trying to get over the fact that he's 51. Because it's not the same as RE4 Remake, which we've only just had, where he's 27. I think they're really trying to get it down our throats that he's 51, and he's not able to do the stuff that he was doing in Resident Evil 4 Remake, which obviously makes perfect sense. Of course it does. But I don't think that it would be a fun section to do. I felt that the biggest action section, where you're in Raccoon City with Leon, I felt that was the bit that I found most annoying. Not just because of the tasks, but because of the sheer amount of action that there is, and Leon is not as mobile as I would have wanted him to be. So I don't think it was terrible, but I think it sucked a little bit. But I think it's also another case of getting my head out of where I am with the RE franchise, because when you look at the last time we saw Leon, was RE6, and when we think about that, and I'm 32 now, I think I would have been 18 when that came out, 14 years or something like that. I don't know. But whatever. It was a really long time ago. That much I know. Because of the spacing of the characters, we met Leon in RE2, we've seen him again in RE4, and then we see him again in RE6, and then it's been an absolute age since we've last seen Leon, that I'm still remembering RE4 Leon and RE6 Leon, that action, that sort of thing, that character. I'm remembering that. I'm remembering this, and what we've kind of got is we've kind of got a badass, like Barry Burton sort of Leon, I would say. I think that's what it is. We've got a Barry Burton sort of Leon, because Barry Burton travelled with Chris and Jill around Europe, and eventually he said that he's going to stop because he's getting too old. I was getting that vibe strongly off Leon, and I think what could have been fantastic, if it wasn't a case of that we were going this far into the future, is that we could have had that exactly the same sort of action that we had in RE4 Remake, of where it would have been a lot more enjoyable to do the action, and that would be something that I would happily replay. But I felt it was constantly sluggish when it was the high end action parts of it towards the end of the game. But that obviously, I know that's my opinion in that respect. But for some people, because of that they didn't, their expectation of what Leon was going to be able to do wasn't met. That's what stopped them from thinking that this was a 10 out of 10 game to a really good 6 out of 10 game, or a really low 7 out of 10 game.
I mean, I'll be real. In where Leon is walking through the care home, I did make the joke about that they were going to put him in the care home and he had too many herbs. But the gameplay was great for me personally. I enjoyed the fact that he still knows his way, if that makes sense. Like, he knows how to take down a zombie. He knows how to take down certain enemies. He knows what, certain enemies do. It's kind of like haunted him in that aspect.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's going to be with him for the rest of his life. So I think, in that sense, did the gameplay suck for his age? No, because obviously you're expecting a 51-year-old man to be a little bit more sluggish, a little bit more slow on the reflexes. But does he still know his way around and how to deal with these enemies like zombies and that? Absolutely.
The one thing I would say is obviously Leon is not just the average man though. He is peak human. Like, have you seen him? He is peak human.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's human. Unfortunately, as you grow old, you're going to be sluggish. You're going to have slower reflexes.
But if you're the average, just class of person that's worked most of your life, doing like laboring, and you then retire, yeah, I get that. But with Leon, who's done so much work, both like in and out the field of obviously because that's how he keeps his body in shape. He's got the brains for it too, like we said before. If he was just like the average Joe, I feel like yes, it'd be a hell of a lot more sluggish. But because of think of it like Batman. Like Batman can still kick everyone's asses, no matter what age he is. Like he kicked Superman's ass when he was like 70. Like my point is that Leon, with the right conditioning like Leon has, the right training that Leon has, he won't be necessarily affected by age as much as the average person. But KD said, well, I mean, for his age, that's all I'll say. But honestly, it felt so good playing as Leon. It definitely brought the action side to it, and he's still the same badass he's always been. I mean, did you see his power walk at the start of the game? So once we learn about the mark on his neck, we know that his purpose in the game is his gameplay is amazing. I enjoyed it, and the attention to detail, especially the subtle hints to the previous games, that definitely touched the hearts of the long-term Resident Evil fans.
And I'm just going to say this. As a 51-year-old man, the man has good hair.
Oh, I'd kill to look 10% the way that Leon does. Like, oh.
When I'm 51, if I look 10% the way Leon does, I'm a happy dude.
All I'm saying is when you come across the big chungus in the attic and you kill him, his voice line goes, "Sorry, but I'm not on the menu." And then Kaylee goes, "Oh, you're on the menu for me, Leon, buddy." So I think if she chose,
I may or may not clip that and put that in a compilation. Just saying.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Obviously, with Leon in that on there, I don't think that we lost much in terms of what Leon could do. I don't think we lost much at all from a viewer perspective, because we obviously interact with games differently now. We interact with games so differently because it's not just a case of that we play it, we also watch it on Twitch. Whereas back in 1998 when Resident Evil 2 came out, there was no Twitch, and so that we would have to actually play the games. So like from a viewer perspective, I think it's 10 out of 10 for the action, but again for the actual playing of it, it is more difficult because he's hampered by age.
I mean, you've got to think as well, he's been bit, he's been thrown by Mr. X, he's been beaten by William Birkin, he's had Las Plagas in him, he's had all these different viruses and been beaten up so many times. It's going to have an effect on him.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Even the biggest Giga Chad's not gonna...
Yeah, but again, this is where, like I said, his conditioning, both his mental and physical, come into play, where obviously he was like, didn't he do special forces with Krauser before RE4 as well?
He did, yeah.
So he's been through hell with that, and like, so he knows certain things and like his way of dealing with it, like other people, their mental like well-being, their mental fortitude would have just broke, and they would have done stupid things. Whereas Leon stays, you know, in the game. He stays focused. He stays in control of what he's doing and not being a little cray little bitch. So, you know, I feel like that's another thing we need to consider, how he's still in the game and not, you know, gone and hugged a tree somewhere.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
pointed out that he was trained by Krauser, but then you got to remember as well, even Krauser was defeated in RE4. So even the person that taught him and made Leon got beaten.
Hi, Leon. But yeah, that's obviously a lot that we've digested already, and that's only the first 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, while someone is just turned up, Mancunian, what did you think of Leon just as a whole, with the gameplay and just him as a character in RE9?
To be honest, I absolutely loved it. Sorry, guys, if you can't tell by my out of breathness, I've just returned. I think his age showed. You definitely got the feel that, like what we said before about him being a rookie cop in RE2, and you know the comparison to what Grace is like now, you can definitely see all that's gone. You can see he's sort of battle seasoned in that sort of respect. His gameplay, I thought was brilliant, because we all know Grace's aspect was very much horror related, and I thought was very slow paced, build up suspense. You then had the parts where you switch into Leon, and I thought it broke that up absolutely superbly. And I think the two stories and the two game mechanics and between the two characters, I thought really complemented each other well.
And Kaylee has just put in the chat, I definitely think that Requiem will be his last run. I personally don't think he has much left in him.
Alright, here's my
Fine,
opinion.
but we will get back onto that point exactly that Kaylee's just made towards the end, because that is something that we need to pick up again for how the game finished, of course. What were you gonna say, Ben? My apologies.
It was be related to that, so I'll probably wait till later before you.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, we'll wait till later on.